Alright, this is going to be the first one of my videos about, I'm actually just talking to the camera. I'm going to try that out. I have some stories, a lot of people are into trip report videos, so I'm going to do a series of those. And this first one is on by far the worst drug I've ever done, which, yeah, I regret doing it, but I did it a lot in my teens. It's Dramamine, which is diphenhydramate, and then Benedryl is diphenhydramine. Very similar chemicals, pretty much the same exact experience if you abuse these over-the-counter medicines. And I just wanted also to point out, I'm not suggesting anybody should do this. This is for safety reasons only. If someone's interested and they see this video and they hear that it's just not a good time, then maybe I'll save some people the trouble of going through that. But I started off when I was about 16. My friend Chris, he was telling me about these motion sickness pills, and oh, they make you trip out, man. They're awesome. And I was interested in tripping, as in mushrooms and stuff. I had never done it at that point. And I'm like, oh, you can trip on a over-the-counter thing, all right. So it comes in, like, the Dramamine comes in like a chapstick-sized bottle with 12 tiny pills in them. Put the whole thing in, all 12 pills at once. That's like the minimum required for experience. And I did it quite a bit, and I have quite a few stories, so I'm just going to tell you the general feeling of the experience, and I'll point out some times that it's entertaining to look back at it, but it was not fun to experience. Alright, so basically you take them, within a half hour, your breath starts getting heavy, and you're just kind of you're just sitting there. You feel very light. You start to feel super light. So if you're sitting down and you go to stand up, it took no effort at all to stand up. You're just light as a feather, and it's not fun. You don't see bright colors and cool fucking shifting geometric patterns, anything like that. You see spiders everywhere, or just spider webs. On the Dramamine, that's the one slight difference with the Dramamine and the Benedryl, is the Dramamine made me see webs everywhere, while on the Benedryl I saw bugs flying around and bugs on the ground. Like on the Dramamine one time, I was walking through a parking lot, and there was web just coming up off the ground, just floating in the wind, coming up off the ground. And I walked up to it, and you believe these things are real until you prove to yourself that they're not there, and you're like, what is going on? And so I was feeling it, and I was moving it with my fingers, and I could feel it on my fingertips, but I also kind of went through it a little bit with my fingers, and I was just like, dude, it's not even there, man. What the fuck? But one thing that happens every time on these substances is you will be somewhere else, and I don't mean an alternate dimension where something's speaking out of pure light love into your soul or anything like that. I'm talking about, I'll be sitting here smoking this cigarette, but then all of a sudden I'll be at my friend Steve's house, especially if I was hanging out with Steve earlier in the day. I'd be at Steve's house suddenly, and just be, hey man, how's it going? Oh, not bad, dude. What have you been up to? Oh, nothing. Just thinking about getting some sleep or something. Oh, okay. You want some juice? Yeah, man. Just give me a cup of juice. Oh, okay. Just back and forth for about 3 minutes. Conversation that could happen any day if we were actually hanging out. But then I'm back here smoking my cigarette. Like, where's Steve? I was just talking to myself. What the hell? And I'm just baffled by it. I'm like, dude, I was just somewhere else. but like I want to remind myself of it the day after. So sometimes I would try to like scribble notes down. I couldn't find a pencil before I was off in another delusion somewhere else. Short-term memory like that, just different experiences one after another, fading in and out of your own consciousness here as it is. Now, the most entertaining story I have from Dramamine is the highest dose I took. It was stupid. I was being stupid in my teens. I reiterate that point. But I took about 3 bottles of it, so 36 pills, which is definitely considered a heavy dose. Because my friend, we were walking around town, my friend Chris introduced me to him. He went in and he stole a handful of them. And there were 3 of us, and we split them. We just walked around and split them up, downed them until they were gone. And all in all, I'm pretty sure I had about 36. And so we walked around town. Just one thing, when I was walking on that stuff, like my right leg, my knee would kind of shoot out in front of me randomly, like somebody kicked my leg from behind me, and it almost felt like it kicked me up and I started floating up. It's really hard to explain. It wasn't comfortable. Like I almost fell a couple times doing that. And as I'm walking, I'm just looking at the ground. I'm behind Chris, and he'll be saying something for like a minute, and I'll either reply to it, like, "Oh, dude, that's crazy," and he'll just look at me like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" Like, audio hallucinations. That's one of the craziest parts of it, is you hear stuff, and it's rarely anything pleasant at all. It's either just muffled talking, especially if you hear like static, like if an air conditioner is on, or you can hear the humming of like a furnace. In that sound, you would hear, I'll try to like do it as best as I can. If it's just like, then what you hear in that is, I don't know, hey, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. Go to the store. Okay, it's like voices. You hear people chatting back and forth, and I heard like 50s music in the background. And the 50s music part, that was kind of cool. But then there'd be times where I'm sitting in my room and I hear my parents screaming, either at each other, or I think they're screaming about me. And at first I would always think, oh fuck, this is not good, they're gonna come in, I'm all fucked up. But I would always realize those noises never happened. They weren't screaming. That was just my head. So anyways, this night, took 36, heard voices walking around, just confused night. Then we got home to Chris's. It was me, Chris, and Steve. Me and Steve were sitting on the couch, and Chris was laying on his bed, and just in silence. We were all just out of it. I remember one thing I could do is I could close my eyes, and I would see the room just as it was when I closed them. And I could look around, and I could look, there's the door, there's the refrigerator, there's the other door. It was a really weird thing. It was bizarre, because it was like I could actually see through my eyelids. And I just remember sitting on that couch with Steve, and he looked at my leg. He's like, "You got a spider on your knee." I'm just like, "Yeah, dude, I know." I didn't see a spider there, but yeah, dude, I know. Whatever. Like, I could be bothered. The fucking house was burning down at that point. And so Chris is passing out. He's like, "Dude, you guys gotta go home. I'm gonna get some sleep." And that's one thing. You're super tired the whole time. So I drank coffee. So me and Steve, we walk home. We were gonna go to my house. He was gonna spend the night at my house. Then he was gonna go to his house. And Chris lived downtown, so we were walking through this big parking lot to go up to my house. My house is about a 15-minute walk away. And so we get there to the parking lot. We're walking through, and there's construction equipment. It was the Coliseum. It was a venue where they had concerts and stuff. And Steve was like, he was just like, dude, I bet you he's like, dude, if you stand out and look for cops, I bet you I can hotwire that forklift. That sounded like a great idea at 16. Okay, yeah, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. This should be fine. Steve is not the kind of kid that would usually do that, but when he gets high or drunk, he was a different person, and that's what was hilarious about him. But so I stood there and I was looking out for cops, and no more than 2 minutes after standing there, a fucking cop came right up to me, shined a light in my face. Like, I felt like my lips were probably like purple and dry, and my eyes, they looked like you're just bugging out. Probably kind of like meth is what it looks like what you're on. And he was asking me what I was doing. I just looked for Steve, and I was just like Steve he saw the cops, and he was behind the forklift, and so he went behind the building, and I was just like, I was just waiting. I was at my friend's house, and I'm just waiting for a ride in the parking lot. And he's like, all right, because we've had reports of vandalism around here, so could you arrange your ride somewhere else and just keep walking? I was like, all right, yeah, no problem. And so he let me go, and I kept walking. About 5 minutes later, I was at the Rocks, they call it. It was up by my high school, where people would smoke cigarettes at the high school, and I would always cut through the high school property to get to the neighborhood of my house. And I was at the Rocks, the high school. There was a cop with a dog on the soccer field, and he was throwing something and telling the dog to kill it. Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! And I was sitting there watching him training this dog to kill this stuffed animal or something. Just yelling, kill it! Kill it! And then all of a sudden the cop pulled up behind me, shined a light in my eyes, said, I thought you were going home. I was like, I forgot what I was doing there. I didn't know why I had been standing at that spot. And I was just like, I'm waiting for my friend. And next thing I know, there are 2 cruisers, 3 SUVs there for me. They're all around me, talking to me, asking me question after question about what was going on, what I did that night, over and over again. And I would tell them a different story every time because I believed it every time. I would fabricate a whole different story. I don't know what I was saying, but they found it very entertaining, and they were fucking with me so bad. And they ended up throwing me up against the cruiser, and they had shoved their thumb in my jaw like some pressure point. Stop resisting! They said that. And I know that they were being assholes looking back at it, because there's no way I could have been resisting. Resisting is not an option when you're on fucking Dramamine. You're just, oh, okay. Oh, you can't fucking do anything. They take me home, talk to my parents. I'm sitting in the living room. They're out there, and look at your son. He's obviously on something. This needs to change, blah, blah, blah. We're just here to help. We're just trying to help you out. But they had their fun, too. But I didn't remember talking to my parents, but I went to bed. I woke up probably 3 p.m. the next day, and slowly started getting my memory back of the night before. I called Steve, and I'm like, dude, fuck, man. The cops took me to my house and everything. Where did you go? Did you walk home? And he's like, dude, I left Chris's house an hour before you did. Okay? Steve was never there. That whole situation was made up. I made that shit up. The drug made me think that shit was real. The story spread out throughout the high school. It was hilarious. Everybody loved that fucking story. But overall, the experience is nightmarish. From what I've read about Datura, which is also a dissociative drug, the experiences I've read about Datura are exactly how I've felt on Dramamine and Benedryl. And I hear those are nightmarish as well, and you can't distinguish hallucination from reality, and they are some bizarre hallucinations. So that's my trip report for Dramamine and Benedryl. One or the other, both, same thing in my book. Subscribe to my channel, like the video. There's going to be more of these coming. I've been wanting to make videos for a while, just because I'm going to make some like opinionated videos on different topics, but I'm also going to have this series on drug experiences, basically. This is going to be the only negative substance that I cover. Experience-wise, I've had some good experiences with other substances. I believe some of them can be useful, but this is all just for safety reasons. I don't want anyone to hurt themselves, so if you need information on a substance, that's why I'm making these. Thank you. Peace out.